Hey, what's up, people? Pizzal here, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the new Arrow Video Blu-ray release for 1970's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, written and directed by Dario Argento. And this was actually Dario Argento's directorial debut, and this film laid the groundwork for all of the awesome giallo movies that we all know and love from Dario Argento. However, I think The Bird with the Crystal Plumage is unfairly sort of overlooked when you think of Dario Argento's filmography. Now, when you do think of Dario Argento's filmography, most people, the first movie that jumps to their mind is going to be Suspiria or Deep Red or Tenebrae. The list goes on and on and on. However, I've always really enjoyed The Bird with the Crystal Plumage because you see Dario Argento becoming Dario Argento, put it that way. And now The Bird with the Crystal Plumage is a pretty straightforward murder mystery giallo movie. Really straightforward when you look at some of Argento's future movies. But the story revolves around an American writer in Rome. He bears witness to what he thinks is an attempted murder involving a serial killer. He soon finds himself embroiled in this mystery, completely obsessed with it, and wanting to discover who the killer is before the killer kills him. And even though The Bird with the Crystal Plumage doesn't have the same flair for the stylistic dynamics, let's just say, that we're accustomed to with a lot of Dario Argento movies, it's still a really beautiful movie to look at. There are a lot of very Argento-ish shots in the movie. Like, I think if you went into this movie not knowing that it was a Dario Argento film, pretty soon after you started watching it, you'd go, hey, this kind of looks and feels like an Argento movie. But the images in the film are just framed beautifully. The cinematography is great. The score for the film, which was done by Ennio Morricone, is fantastic as well. The performances are good, really, all around. Most of the violence in the movie is either implied or occurs off screen, which I know definitely goes against the grain of the graphic violence that we're more accustomed to with Dario Argento. I definitely don't think this more sort of restrained Argento that we see in The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, at least when it comes to the violence and the sexuality in the movie, is necessarily a bad thing. Now, the killer in the film is, of course, the sort of typical giallo Dario Argento killer with the black-gloved hands, the black fedora, the long black coat. However, it's pretty obvious, maybe not who the killer in the movie is, but what gender the killer in the movie is based on their petite silhouette that we see several times in The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. That aside, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage is a great murder mystery giallo and really shows Dario Argento becoming the Dario Argento that we all know and love and revere today. It's a really good movie that unfortunately kind of flies under the radar, but I think it's a testament to all the great movies that Dario Argento did, that a movie like The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, which is pretty darn good on its own, can be overshadowed by movies like Suspiria, Deep Red, Tenebrae, Phenomena. The list goes on and on and on. If you've not seen The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, by all means, go out, check it out. The new Blu-ray release from Arrow would be a great way to introduce yourself to the film. If you're a fan of Italian giallo movies or of Dario Argento movies, then you should have already seen The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. If you're a fan of the movie, you definitely want to look in to this new limited edition Blu-ray release from the folks over at Arrow Video. It would make a great addition to your collection. The picture quality and the sound quality are both superb, in my opinion. As far as extras are concerned, We have Black Gloves and Screaming Mimes, an interview with critic Kat Ellinger, in which she explores the film's themes and its relationship to both the Giallo and Frederick Brown's novel, The Screaming Mimi. Miss Ellinger discusses the censorship at the time in European cinema and how, due to this, it was a far less violent and sexually driven Argento movie than what we're accustomed to, as I had mentioned before. She also discusses how the movie paralleled the novel from Frederick Brown, the themes of voyeurism and perversion, and how those themes would continue and become more prevalent and more graphic in Dario Argento's future movies. Miss Ellinger discusses Argento's thumbing his nose at the critics of Giallo cinema, who railed against the genre for being misogynistic by making many of the killers in his films women. Very nice interview with Miss Ellinger, just under 32 minutes in length. I felt like I learned a lot about Giallo cinema from her, and also about the development of Dario Argento, the filmmaker. Very nice interview with Miss Ellinger. Next up, we have The Power of Perception. It's a visual essay by author Alexandra Heller-Nichols, in which she discusses the recurring themes of perception and the role of art in Argento's filmography. It's just under 21 minutes in length. She discusses how Argento's narratives rely heavily on the misinterpretation of pivotal events, deceptive characters, and objects that hold secrets. Next up, we have Crystal Nightmare, a brand new exclusive interview with Dario Argento recorded for Arrow Video. It's 31 minutes and 24 seconds in length. Argento discusses how he'd initially only wanted to write the screenplay for The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, but he became so involved in the screenplay and so moved by it that he decided that he wanted to make it his directorial debut. Argento discusses nearly being fired by the producer because the film was so different from other thrillers of the time. He discusses being uncertain of how to shoot certain sequences in the film. He knew what he wanted to see, but didn't know how to bring his vision to life. So he relied heavily on his cinematographer to help him fully realize The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Argento discusses working with the cast, throwing a camera off a building, his fondness of Freud, and using psychoanalysis in his films. He also discusses working with Ennio Morricone and how their relationship got off to a rocky start. Interesting story. Argento discusses how the film was received negatively at first by both the studio and the public, but then caught on and became a huge success, launching his directing career. Very nice, informative interview with Dario Argento, 31 minutes and 24 seconds in length. Next up, we have an Argento icon, an interview with actor Gildo Demarco, recorded exclusively for Arrow Video. It's just over 22 minutes in length. Mr. Demarco discusses his first meeting with Dario Argento, in which he was tricked into thinking Argento was a production assistant, and after a 30-minute conversation about nothing in particular, and only at the very end of that conversation did the PA reveal himself to be Dario Argento. He discusses what it's like as an actor being directed by Dario Argento. Mr. Demarco also discusses his experiences working on The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and again with Dario Argento on Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Thank you. He also discusses and defends Argento against the critics who called his films corrupt and misogynistic. A very nice interview with Mr. Demarco. Next up, we have Eva's Talking, an archival interview with the late actress Eva Renzi from 2005. It's 11 minutes and 19 seconds in length. Miss Renzi discusses not watching The Bird with the Crystal Plumage until 20 years after she'd made the film, and she was in tears because she felt like the film had ruined her career. She describes Argento as being sensitive, tactful, and kind. She also discusses working with Klaus Kinski. Miss Renzi seemed to have some really hard feelings about her acting career, but a pretty interesting interview with her, 11 minutes and 19 seconds in length. We also have trailers as well as an audio commentary with Troy Howarth, author of the book So Deadly, So Perverse, 50 Years of Italian Films. I watched about 25 to 30 minutes of the film with Mr. Howarth's commentary. Very informative commentary. The guy definitely knows Giallo cinema, and he knows the filmography of Argento like the back of his hand. So pretty interesting commentary from the 25 to 30 minutes that I watched with Mr. Howarth's commentary. I can't tell you about any of the packaging or any of the accoutrements that come with this limited edition release from Arrow. I was sent a check disc to review for this video, but from what I've seen, it looks like a really nice looking loaded set as far as that is concerned. I can vouch, however, for the fact that this Blu-ray from Arrow Video is loaded with some really nice extras, including a great interview with Dario Argento that's over 30 minutes in length. The picture quality and the sound quality are both superb in my opinion, and The Bird with the Crystal Plumage is an underrated, overlooked giallo movie from Argento that I think deserves to be seen. If you've seen The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, please let me know what you think of it down in the comments section below. Also, share with me your favorite Argento movies, as well as just your favorite giallo movies overall, down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.